Thank you, everyone, for joining us here today with Dr. Soraya Fallah. We're very honored to have her here today to speak about supporting refugee and immigrant students with special needs in educational settings. Dr. Soraya Fallah is a researcher with expertise in educational policy and supporting culturally and linguistically diverse populations with disabilities, particularly refugee and immigrant students and their families. She serves as a consultant with To Teach Global and works with LAUSD in both the Wellness Programs Department under the Medical Services Division and the Refugee Educational Support Program within the Multilingual and Multicultural Education Program to support newcomer refugee students and their families. Soraya's work bridges academic research with community advocacy, and she is a humble recipient of multiple awards and recognitions including the 2025 Everyday Heroes recognition. She's also a published author of books and peer-reviewed journal articles and has presented nationally and internationally. And we're very lucky to have her here today. Thank you so much, Dr. Soraya, for being here. I'm going to pass it to you for your presentation.
Thank you so much. Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. Any day that you're joining this presentation, I welcome you, and I'm pleased to be part of the Center for Immigrant and Refugee Health Academy Speaker Series, contributing to the efforts to bridge gaps and increase knowledge in support of immigrant and refugee community. This session is designed to support educators and service providers in effectively identifying, evaluating, and supporting refugee students with special needs, particularly in the areas of special education, health, and wellness within educational setting. For today, I have this agenda to talk about. We'll begin by reviewing the purpose and goals of the presentation, then explore the experiences and challenges these students often face in social environment. I will walk you through the IEP process in California, along with key special educational law and policies. We'll also look at how to identify and evaluate students with potential special needs, the newcomers, especially taking into account of trauma, language development, and cultural context. We'll talk about ways to support the student facing medical and attendance issues and how to adopt instructions to meet their individual learning needs and goals. Another important factor that is very important for me is building strong culturally responsive partnership with families to support the student success. As such, I will be talking about family school partnership. I'll share two case studies from Ukrainian and Afghanian families who recently, they are refugee family, to illustrate the types of challenges schools may encounter and student and family may encounter, and how we can respond effectively. Obviously, I use pseudonym and I don't use their whole full name because of the confidentiality. We'll conclude with policy recommendation, helpful resources, and final reflection. And I have my information that you can give me final any reflection you have. Throughout the session, I use some acronyms for the keywords. So the first time that I use it, I use the whole word, but then later I use the acronym. So please bear with me during the session. So every presentation has a purpose. Every training has a purpose. I have some purpose and goals to meet for this presentation. The purpose of this presentation is to support educators, as I said, and staff in better understanding and responding to the unique experiences of refugees and immigrant students that they have, those with disabilities. These students often arrive with complex histories, with some experiences with traumas, interrupted schooling, not having enough documentation, not knowing about US school system, educational system. So my goal is to bring attention to their specific needs and offer insights into how we as educators and para-educators can ensure they're not left behind. I want to emphasize that this is not just about meeting compliance or checking boxes that sometimes is happen. It's about creating equitable access, building trust with families, and recognizing the whole child uh, not getting behind and the label of disability that often diagnosis, incorrect diagnosis basically. This work is guided by these goals that I said. So, for raising awareness, sharing practical research, encouraging culturally responsive partnerships. So, I really want to emphasize on that and promoting the holistic approach to entire wellness and learning environment for children. So who they are, who these refugee kids are, what they experience, what they brought with themselves, and what how school uh, should respond to those issues. Let's begin by learning a bit more about refugee students who are often from war-torn countries and conflict zone, and why this topic is matter overall. Refugee student brings incredible resilience, but they are also face layered and complex challenges, basically double challenge, double issue, double jeopardy, or sometimes triple jeopardies. So many have experienced displacement, trauma, interrupted education, as I pointed out. So this is the kids that they come here. In addition, cultural and linguistic barriers make navigating unfamiliar school system very hard, and meanwhile learning English even more difficult. These challenges can hinder the timely and accurate identification of special education needs. So we should be aware of that. This is not just a policy concern. I always say, I know there are some policy in place, there are some regulation, there are some laws in place that actually it's law that we should obey, but it's actually educational imperative. As educators and service providers, we have the responsibility um, to respond with culturally responsive and trauma informed practices. I pointed in one of the um, bullet point that you see, but we will talk about more. This involved the application of special education policy in a culturally responsive and conceptually informed manner that affirm the holistic lived experiences of each student. So it means that we want to know who they are and what kind of life they had, and we apply that to the special education that we want to basically provide to the kids. And so each student recognizing the intersection of disability, culture, and forced immigration. So they are forcibly migrated and they have disability and they have cultural issue here. So we should really take a look at those intersections. So students from war-torn countries often bring invisible yet significant challenges. As I said, the challenges is not only for the kids, it's for school as well. So this may be including chronic health issue, trauma response like hypervigilance or emotional dysregulation, and a complete lack of documentation. We should know that this is important, that we recognize that many of the family, they come completely without any documentation, especially medical document, including medical or educational record. Many also face unstable family circumstances, such as separation from caregiver or housing insecurity. Behavioral signs like withdrawal or difficulty focusing are often trauma related, yet they can be misinterpreted. So we should make sure that they are not disproportionately diagnosed with disability. And also, we should not overlook entirely the kids just because they are part of the school. Without proper cultural and conceptual understanding, school risk misdiagnosis or miss the opportunity to support these kids and serve them in a right way. As Rodriguez and Morawski emphasized that adhering to procedural safeguards such as timeline, consent evaluation, and protocol is necessary, but not sufficient. School must also demonstrate cultural humility, awareness of trauma, and sensitivity to families' lived experiences in order to ensure fair identification and support. So I read these quotes directly because I wanted you to know this is based off the research and how important is that we should take a look at holistically that, or especially the in a way that we are culturally humiliated, support the family. Why this is important to address special education and the individual educational program IEP. So in this section, I'm going to talk about the IEP for refugee and immigrant students. There is a significant gap in research regarding the exact number of students with disability. Yes, we don't have much of a number about them. According to the US Department of Education, the latest one, approximately 7 million students ages between 3 to 21 receive special education services under federal law and state policy. Response like this is accumulation of 15% of all public school students. This number has steadily increased, but because of the lack of the data and lack of the research, lack of the maybe overlooking of the issue, we don't really know the exact number. Additionally, as I stated before, schools face distinct challenges when working with refugee and immigrant families. That's why this is essential to continue exploring practical, culturally and responsive strategies that foster equitable partnership, honor diverse experiences, and promote improved educational outcome for all students, not only for one part or another. These realities underscore the critical importance of ensuring that children who exhibit sign and symptom of special needs are appropriately rather than disproportionality or overlookly evaluated for disability services. So I said, in accordance with existing law and policies, let's review the legal framework and the IEP with disability in California, because in many places when we don't talk about law, we think it's okay because there is nothing in place, but this is actually law. The Individual with Disability Education Act, IDEA, is the fundamental federal law that ensure eligible students with disabilities to receive special education and related services. IDEA mandates that students be educated in the least restrictive environment. Most of the people, educator, paraeducator, and people who working directly with IEP, almost all of them, they know about least restrictive environment, but this is just a reminder, and for those new one that they want to learn about this process and receive services throughout a formal IEP, individualized education program IEP, that is basically is tailored to their unique needs. However, IDEA is not only law that governs services for a student with disability. We have also Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act, because often this question comes that if a person doesn't get IEP or if they don't want an IEP, some family, they don't want it. So 504 is in place. So that law prohibits discrimination based on disability and ensure that a student who may not qualify for an IEP still receive appropriate quality for like an accommodation, quality of the education and accommodation. We have the American with Disability Act, ADA, further extend civil right protection to individuals with disabilities in both public and private settings, so especially including schools. So these are federal laws. I hope they stay forever. These three federal mandated IIJ Section 54 and ADAA work together to ensure students receive appropriate and equitable educational services. In addition to that, we have free appropriate public education, FAPE, is guaranteed under both IDA and Section 504, requiring that services both provided at no cost in the least restrictive environment. Let's now review how the IEP process works with these laws that we talked about. The IEP is a legally binding document. So we should know if somebody say, is it my signature valuable? Yes. Reading it valuable? Yes. Encountering with the family about IEP page by page is must be there, yes, because it's a legally binding document that outlines the students' educational needs, goals, and the services and accommodation that will support their learning. It is developed collaboratively by a team that includes the students' parents, guardians, educators, and other professionals. There are usually some professionals, and in most of the cases, the teacher who referred the students. In California, the IEP process includes services key step. A referral is initiated by educator, as I said, or parents. A comprehensive evaluation is a lot of pages, is conducted in the student's primary language to ensure a culturally and linguistically appropriate assessment is in place. And eligibility determination is made based on the state and federal criteria, those laws that I talked about. If eligible, an IEP is developed with measurable academic and functional goal. I put it there, as you see. The school team ensured that students conducted to the appropriate services and resources to support their process. For the case of immigrant and refugee families, especially who are newcomers, understanding their rights under these laws and actively participate in the IEP process is especially critical. So often we forget to include them, but we should know that we must include these families with all the documentation and let them know about those pages. According to the Office of Refugee Resettlement in 2024, U.S. laws protect the rights of all students, including newcomers. These protections, including access to English language, instruction, freedom of expression, and safeguards against bullying and discrimination. So this, if we should know the families are included in this matter and teach them as educators and as a para-educator in school setting. So how about the services and resources? This often comes with the document, with the IEP document. Yes, the services are different than resources. As you see in the last bullet point, services and resources are key component of student support. While some services are mandated through IEP, schools also play a vital role connecting families and for additional support, particularly for the refugee and immigrant, because they are new and they don't know many of those stuff. So culturally and linguistically appropriate material are important for them. Mental health services are important, and targeted programs must be in place for communities such as Ukrainian, such as Afghanian, and Latinx newcomers. So we include those in our services in school if there is newcomers in school. There's always often come to the question that what services available within LAUSD or in Los Angeles, because we are second largest school district in entire nation. So it's important that we should know that LAUSD or Los Angeles Unified School District has additional support mechanism in place. For example, school counselors, and wellness program department, staff and navigators, helping families access housing, basic needs, healthcare, mental health services, and of course, during past 2 years, refugee educational support program within multicultural, multi-language department. So moreover, while California school district offer a wide range, there are some contractor organizations that working directly to give services to those kids with developmental disabilities, such as regional centers. There are many branches of regional centers that they obey the law based on law, IDEA, and ADA that I said. They are working with students with disability and their family to give them direct services and, of course, resources. So let's identify a student who may need services or have special needs, how we identify them. To identify those like a student who may require support, school implement a multi-tiered system of support. So MTSS, like, is basically in every school that they want to support the student with disability. This framework, including universal, as you see here, universal screening and tiered interventions before initiating a referral for special education. These are happening before like the services happen. All assessment must be conducted with an awareness of trauma history and language acquisition to prevent misdiagnosis. So, because the misdiagnosing can mess up with the student education and even personal life forever. I can say forever because this goes with the kid for K through 12. Imagine if they misdiagnose. Assessing newcomers students in their primary language and understanding the cultural background of immigrant and refugee families are essential for accurate identification. I cannot emphasize enough how critical the communication is, the use of inappropriate assessment tool, or the failure to consider cultural and linguistic factors can result in inaccurate evaluation. And you know how many pages are involved in that, how many signatures and how many people are involved. So we don't want the evaluation to be inaccurate. So in this context, I believe, and I, based on like entire nationwide research and during past years that I worked, cultural competency is not only an ethical obligation. This is a legal requirement. Yes, some people don't know. They think this is just something that we add to the literature. No, this is actually in end of every single legal document about how cultural competency is important, particularly working with a student with disability and their families. In many cases, students are evaluated through a student support program team, SSPT. SSPT is familiar for like many people who are working in school. The SSPT is a collaborative pre-referral team. I have been in, if I don't say all of them, but most of them, SSPT in different schools that I work with. So it's really important that team sitting together with the parent and a specialized people who are working in school for this matter, and sometimes outside person who is working outside of the educational setting with this parent. Before or during SSPT meeting, it is crucial to gather a comprehensive student history. So this comprehensive student history, including the background, the history, what they know, how they experience the milestone prior to the educational experience, and observed learning behavior, or anybody said something, or social interaction, all of them. So basically, we talk about those stuff. And in my role, like during working with wellness program as a healthy start program, we had to stay in SSPT meetings. So over the years, it is important to emphasize that not all SSPT meetings end up with the IEP referrals. Some of them only need some support of school, of a teacher, or a person, or some basic needs, or being in contact with a few staff in school, and some like I can say nothing is light in school, but like collaborative is a collaborative decision making, that if the student really needs IEP or not. So not always end up with that. So here, how can we support our students who do not attend due to like medical needs? Here, like you can see students that they have medical needs, and how can we face that? How can we help them? When health issue keep a student out of school, whether due to trauma, illness, or both, we need to focus on using either IEP or 504 plans creatively. So creatively, like home instruction and coordination with healthcare provider become critical. Research shows that health-based accommodation can significantly improve attendance and learning structures. My colleague, Dr. Felicia Conlon, I talked to her about many of the IEP that she had and she attended. She's a speech language pathologist, worked with general education in high school student and stuff. She had a case in high school from Ukraine who speak limited English. So she was she used some translator services, not because getting the translator sometimes can be a little daunting and time consuming. So she used Google Translate, like for some vocabularies, and family also learned about that. The student had a severe stutter, but with weekly speech therapy sessions, the student could significantly progress and ultimately did not require an IEP. So before we send the student to the IEP, these steps should be taken and we should be flexible about those. His motivation to learn and improve has been truly inspiring. And Dr. Conlon told me that by reflected to us and to the teacher, and to one teacher, ensured that his caregivers signed the consent from form for participation. So yeah, basically, even for the participating in any SSPT plan and stuff, they should they should sign, they should waive their signature. For a student with anxiety or communication difficulties, alternative assessment methods are often necessary. So for each student are different. So I always say one size doesn't fit all. So we should know who the students are and what kind of trauma and what kind of problem they have. And based on that, we should be flexible. For building family school relationship and partnership, how we do that, because this is not a case that we can only put the child in place and talk about them and talk with them or talk at them. We want a family to be involved in that. So family school collaboration is a critical component of student success, regardless of whether child has a disability. And I can tell you like substantial body of research highlighting the importance of strong partnership between families and schools, and particularly for culturally and linguistically diverse population, which the refugee and immigrant coming from that group. Despite the importance, meaningful engagement can be challenging. Yes, families may fear judgment, have limited understanding of their rights, and within the IEP process, or face cultural stigma related to disability. In some cases, due to their background, families maybe even hesitate to talk about, like to trust the government, or they consider school as government, right? And so they they are unfamiliar with the system. We should tell them that how school is safe for them, and they might not trust us to tell us about the kids' background, or even if the kids have disabilities. So this is school job to identify, and then this engagement and this partnership is important. That's what I try to say. Therefore, establishing trust and rapport before the IEP has a lot of meaning in our work. So the reason I said they might not trust, so what can we do? We create a trust. So providing like translated material, using culturally responsive liaison, and ensuring clear, respectful communication can be helpful to bridge this gap between the family and school. How do we address these barriers and foster engagement? Because often we say, okay, I try, but how can we do that? When family trust school staff and feel that their identities and experiences are understood, they are more likely to actively participate in the school and their children education. This began with an intentional use of professional interpreters, not kids, and accurate language identification. I had a case that they did not even speak Farsi or Ukrainian. They used some other similar language because school didn't know. They were not familiar. They were Pashto and they did not understand much of the Farsi, but they had the translator for Farsi speaking and they could not help them. So similarly for Ukrainian, some Ukrainian, they want only Ukrainian language. So we should be aware of those stuff. Understanding a family immigrant history, cultural background, religion, even, they are also important in how we encounter with the family and how we bridge that gap. Finally, effective family school collaboration is not only one-sided effort. I always said it's not one-sided effort. It is a reciprocal relationship grounded in mutual respect between school and families. So if family knows that, yes, school knew their job, they obey the law, they go based on the law, but they need also families to collaborate and also to respect schools. So the work is going to be much, much easier for the students. Let me walk you through the case studies of Danilo, a fourth grade student who recently arrived from Ukraine. Danilo qualified for special education services under speech and language impairment, largely to do the limited English proficiency and challenges with expressing language and reading. Additionally, he showed sign of trauma, which led to incorporating social emotional learning support alongside speech therapy and classroom accommodation. So when they show some sign and symptom, that's what school try to step in. A critical factor in this student success was the strong support process that began with a referral through the student support progress, progress team, as I said, SSPT. So first it was sent to the SSPT meeting. The school maintained monthly check-ins with the family through a bilingual liaison, ensuring ongoing communication and trust. When I met with the family, they already got the service, that service, and then I checked with them how the services was or if they need anything else. Family engagement was prioritized by inviting Danilo parents to observe therapy sessions and providing a Ukrainian interpreter for all meetings. They said they know somehow English, but school prefers and it's preferable to have interpreter because there are many jargons, many words that it's not understood by the family. So the family also participated in targeted workshops. There is always workshop involved with that designed to build their knowledge and confidence for the family, eventually becoming a strong advocate for their child, because if they attend those workshops show them how to become an advocate for their kids. Materials were translated into their family language to ensure accessibility, and all communication avoided jargon to foster understanding. This case highlights the importance of trust, language access, and respect for the family's voice in equitable IEP engagement. So, finally connecting family with the like resources tailored for this family. They said they need some stuff, they need another stuff. So they didn't need the housing, for instance. They were living with a family member for a while, but they needed some basic needs. So school helped them. Yeah, I wanted to recap on this, but maybe later if we have time, because I have a case also for the Afghanian. And in this case, I can highlight some of the real challenges faced by this family. This is a Rahimi family, a Sudanese, recently resettled here from Afghanistan. Both parents, Abdul and Fatima, are illiterate in their native language, Dari, and do not speak English. This makes it very difficult for them to understand schools' communication, support their children's learning, or engage with teachers and staff. What do you do in such a case? Their children, Amina, Ahmed, and Zainab, are enrolled in school, but the family faces multiple barriers, including language, unfamiliarity with the school system, and limited access to technology. While this family told me how eager they are to learn everything about school and stuff, but everything needs time, and also illiteracy play role in this situation. The school's outreach team steps in with a culturally responsive support plan. These include home visits with interpreter, enrolled of parents in adult ESL and literacy classes. We did not have like in the beginning, of this case, we did not have the ESL, but later we learned that how important is this. So they basically learned. And besides that, they use the visual and voice notes to communicate with the parents, and some school updates, and connecting the family with community resources. More than 6 months, I can say the children attendance and academic performance improved, and it was a very successful case. But not all the cases are successful. This family were very flexible, and also school were flexible, and the program were in place because of some programs within the LAUSD. And these slides highlights key policy recommendation aimed at driving system change to better support refugee and immigrant families. I am for change, always systemic change, and I have this recommendation. I think it's very important. The recommendation is based on research, years of research, and many of these recommendations came, of course, from the interviewing with the families. So I believe if we also, as an advocate, help families to strengthen them to learn about advocacy for themselves, so they learn how to be part of the changing machine. So first, strengthening data collection is crucial. We often don't have many data. We often don't know how they improve. We don't know how many of them are here, because sometimes they fall under another category of the racial categories. So we don't know. So in the improving national reporting through the National Center for Immigration Statistic, hopefully they can provide more accurate information if they improve research for those areas. Second, I believe that promoting standard partnership is essential. Enhancing regulation that encourage long-term collaboration between school and families create a stable foundation for student success. And third, it is important to address specific challenges by recognizing the culture, language, or cultural, linguistic, and socioeconomic barriers that families often face. Yeah, they are really facing the socioeconomic barriers, and we should always address those areas. And finally, I believe that implementing accessible language practices using clear, low register language. Low register in the language arena means not using jargon, not using very hard words that I don't even understand them. So instead of using those big words, it should be words that family can understand. And even like some other stuff, when they come, they scare of seeing those documents. So using less jargon languages. These are like a recommendation by families. Some of them, they told me, I don't understand. Am I really illiterate in this area? I said, no, this is not only used. So many people do not have ability to understand these words, these languages. So using less jargon is important. So these slides directly came from my nationwide research on culturally and linguistically population of children with disability, those immigrant and also refugee families. These outline key strategies grounded in research to promote quality, equitable family engagement with refugee and immigrant family. First, it is essential to recognize the unique challenges of the families. This is basically like a recap of my presentation, so please pay attention to those areas. I think I have 6 or 7 areas. So recognize the language barrier, limited access to the resources, and understanding this barrier is the foundation for meaningful engagement. Next, school must build trusting relationship with family. So creating this trust foster collaboration. If they don't trust us, collaboration is not going to happen. We also need to improve school family partnership. So it's not only creating one time sitting with them. This is not one incident, one time seeing them, but is something that focusing on understanding the family and improving this relationship. And effective communication is critical. As I said, and I emphasize again, simple, no jargon, like jargon-free language is the key. To further support engagement, school should hire staff who share lived experiences. We don't have in many places. I go to many schools. I visited 70 schools during past year. We barely had people with the same language that those people needed them. So we either hire somebody with us or for translation, or we call translation services, or I speak the language so I could talk to the families. But the schools, I believe they should hire staff who share lived experiences and language experiences to strengthen the relationship and having the cultural understanding. And finally, school must invite and increase involvement from community members. Those community members are important, while committing to ongoing cultural competency training to ensure staff are equipped to serve diverse families respectfully and effectively. So, like achieving educational equity for refugee students with disability require 4 key pillars. These are the key pillars. These are important to remember. First, equitable access. Ensure all students have the resources. So you can see it here. Have the resources and opportunities they need to succeed. Second, cultural responsiveness is vital for IEP that must be implemented with cultural sensitivity. And third, building authentic family partnership. This is the summary of and final part. And finally, as educator, our advocacy and support are crucial. So don't forget about advocacy. In any places we have, no matter we are researcher, we are educator, we are advocate for those family because they might not know many things. We must ensure that refugee students receive accessible and appropriate services. And I believe these elements create an inclusive, empowering environment where every student can thrive. This is our goal, right? We basically all work for student achievement and our student to thrive, and this can help them. Uh, Here I can tell you there are excellent tools available. Yeah, this is just examples, but there are plenty and many uh, documents available, legal document, research, uh, I can say brochures, uh, articles, journal article, and also many resources that excellent tool available, but they need to be widely shared. So school and community providers should collaborate to distribute these guides and resources. So if you have resources about like Ukrainian family language, or you have about Afghanian or about Latinx family, so and they are evidence-based practices and emphasize inclusive, like uh, inclusive education. I believe they should be widely supported and also distributed. And also, we are available here at any time. If you want, there are information. You can contact us at like to teach global and also in LAUSD through the multilingual, multicultural language and also the department and refugee education support program. I hope it was useful for you. And if you have any question, please contact me. And there are some resources that I use. And if you need any of them, please feel free to communicate through email or through uh, our wonderful uh, host that this academy that created this situation, this opportunity that I could present for you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Soraya, for sharing all these valuable insights with us and really reminding us of the importance of cultural humility and taking a trauma-informed approach when working with refugee students, all refugee students, and especially those with disabilities. I also think the case studies that you shared really demonstrate the number of barriers that refugee families are facing when navigating disability services for their students and how school staff can play such an important role in outreaching and providing that ongoing support. So I had a couple questions for you. Um, from your experience, what do you think is the most effective strategies for building trust and maintaining engagement with refugee families who may be new to IEPs or accessing disability services? I know you touched on that a little bit in your presentation, but if you could speak a little bit more to building trust with families.
Sure. It's very like such an important question that can be a not like full set of presentation, or I can say um, training. Yes, I talk about it a little bit, but I think it's very important that we always touch base in a deeper way about this matter. As such, I think it's very, very important question. Thank you so much for bringing this question. I think there is no one size fits all answer, but I found that trust began with cultural humility and began with being genuinely and genuinely present with the family, not only checkboxing. One of the most powerful tools, simply meeting one on one. I found this very, very powerful. In many cases, because of we learned through like to speak to family through phone or videos or Zoom and stuff. I I never like meeting one on one with families and actively involving them and in being involved with them in their child education. We have to remember that many of these families are navigating unfamiliar system, often in a new languages, while also carrying the weight of past trauma. So meeting with them, giving them comfort of support is very important. I give some like strategies that maybe in future we can have whole session about that, but using trained interpreter, as I said, not kids, not just like bilingual stuff, but really translating material clearly is important. Working with cultural broker, I did not touch base on that because cultural brokers are important. It can be a person who is trusted by the community, or a person who is often a little older than the other or more educated than other people, or a religious figure. So those figures, using them is very important. So this create a trust. We ask them who, and we find them, and then we ask the family, and approaching every intention from strength-based and trauma-informed perspective, not from their weakness, because everybody has weakness. We don't want them to feel like they are weak. And being transparent with them. Like when we are transparent with them, in some cases we don't know some stuff. But transparency is important. We teach them the rights, and if we don't know about them, we tell them we come back to you. We don't know those, and creating a welcoming environment in school, and staying like in a regular contact. So as I pointed out in my presentation, I said this is not only one time matter, is an incident and like event, is ongoing and staying regularly with the family. So they find out that you are trustable, and school is trustable, and they can trust you.
Those are such important points. Thank you.
Yeah.
And what are some indicators that a student might be needing extra support if they haven't been officially identified? And I guess I'm asking this question thinking about both on the side of families who may not be able to recognize that their student might have a disability. They might think of it as maybe it's just a behavioral issue or a different kind of issue. And also for school staff, what should they be looking out for to
Yeah,
identify?
yeah, it's also a very good question, because we should be trained on that. In my experience, students often show us they need support long before there is a formal evaluation. So from the beginning, when they show that they need support, we start the support. Some signs I've been seen, including ongoing academic struggle. It's as simple as that, especially in reading and math. But you should make sure that we don't mix it with the language barrier, and also language delay that go beyond what we typically see for the English learner. And irregular attendance, yes, which could be related to trauma, unstable housing, or caregiving responsibility at home. And also some issue they might show behavioral shifts, like students withdraw. Um, Sometimes they show sign of withdrawal, or they have anger, or they have social difficulties, especially if those behavior seem out of like norm with the students' cultural norm, like it's not within their cultural norm. And physical or emotional, fatigue. Sometimes we see them that they show physical and emotional fatigue and disconnection, and showing up with poor hygiene, as simple as that. This can be quite like, um, I can call it crying for help. So if we see those signs and symptoms, we should understand that they are really asking and need our help. And sometimes students show sign of unspoken trauma, like flinching easily or seeming emotionally numb. So they are really quiet, and they don't respond to stuff. So we know that we must always look at the behavior through the cultural lens as well as the professional lens.
Thank you. And for my last question, for students who may have a medical uh, need or a circumstance where they might not be able to come to school for a few days or a few weeks at a time, what are the best ways for school staff to be able to support those students and their families?
Oh, it's very, very good question, Jasmine, because supporting those students is not only by seeing them or ask the family. They are fragile. They become more fragile if they frail, if they are in at home. So these students are not like they left behind, right? So we don't want that. We really the goal is to ensure that these students are not left behind. There are few strong options I always recommend. One is when they have, and I faced during the past years, home hospital like instruction through LAUSD. We have Carlson Home Hospital School. So many of the nurses know, but some school uh, I was called by some schools that they don't know what to do with this family because their kids is the hospital and they're getting behind. And the simple answer was Carlson. So there is a system in place, Carlson Home Hospital School, and it's free and is a wonderful resource. It provides instruction either in person or virtually, depending on the student's medical condition. It can be for short amount of time or longer period. The teachers are like um, credentiated and familiar with IEP. So those teachers really know what to do with those kids. And LAUSD also has STEM Virtual Academy, so virtual academy. So that virtual academy, this is only some example that I say. I don't. There are plenty of programs, but I bring this. So also offer special education services online. So this is a great thing. Some kids cannot go for because of the long period of medical issue. They support a student across a range of needs, including those in alternative curriculum and special day programs and tailor instruction through IEP, because one of the reasons that they have IEP is to tailor to the student. For the student that facing really illness, the illness and immediate compromise, like homebound education program is in place. So like those affected through like in side in San John, and it's this mostly for the kids who have cancer. And I had a case that she was for a long time in the hospital, very in elementary school, and this homebound education program was very, very helpful for that kid. And they have all the curriculum, they have all the teachers who are familiar with teaching them. And outside of LAUSD, there are some other academies, such as Connection Academy. They offer flexible online learning for a student with medical challenges. So we basically not only we keep touch with the family and with the medical providers and PCP and the nurses and caregiver, but also we make sure that one of these services, one or two of these services in this place, and we just don't leave them. They do it because if they don't know the language, if they don't know how to pursue those, and also maybe in the middle of the services in those schools, they're getting so tired or they don't know how to continue. We should be involved. So what is equally very important is collaborating as a care team. So bringing together the school nurse, counselor, educator, and families to update IEP or 504 plans and plan for the students' individual needs. So I think if we all work together about those for those areas, it's the plan is going to be very successful.
Yeah, thank you for sharing those resources. And again, I'm hearing the importance of collaboration between school staff, nurses, and the parents, the family really makes such a difference. And again, I want to thank you for sharing your expertise on such an important topic. We're very grateful to have you here at the center. And thank you for all the incredible work that you're doing with families and with LAUSD.
I really appreciate the opportunity, and I hope the information. I know it's we can't touch base on every single thing deeply on all those areas because, like, legal matter, educational matter, and everything need
Right.
to be like carefully looked at. But I hope it can be helpful for the educator and para educators in schools and
Yeah,
for the families as well. Thank you so
I'm sure
much
it
for
will
your
be. Thank you
services.
so
Appreciate
much. Thank you. Have a great day.
it.
All right,
And
Kouhkan.
I really appreciate if you delete omit those the area that I said. Is it? Do I have time?
Yes.